For this fly, I will use a size 16 nymph hook. I've tied Frenchies as small as 18 and can be tied as big as size 14 or even 12. For the bead of this fly, I will use a small silver tungsten bead. For Frenchies, I usually use shiny beads such as gold or silver. Slide on the bead, small hole first, and put it up against the hook eye. Seat the hook in the jaws of the vise so that it is snug and doesn't slide around during the tying process. It is important that you keep the hook from sliding around when tying. A-dot thread in red is probably the best thread used for small Frenchies. Start the thread behind the bead on the hook and wrap backwards against the tag end. Reach for a pair of scissors and snip off the tag end. Take some fine wire and break off a 6-inch piece. This will last you a couple flies. Slide the wire underneath the bead and tie it down to the end of the hook shank. The tail and body from this fly is from a pheasant tail. Tear off about half a dozen to a dozen fibers from the tail. The tail of this fly should be about half the length of the hook shank. Tie it in right where you left off from the wire. If you need to, adjust the length of the tail, then lock it in with more thread wraps. If you need to, tie the pheasant tail down the hook shank a little bit more. Then take your thread back up to behind the bead. To wrap the body of this fly, I will put my bobbin in a bobbin cradle and use the rotary function on my vise, but this is not needed. Wrap the pheasant tail up to behind the bead where your thread is. When wrapping your body, I hope you do a better job than I did here. Once you've formed the body, then you can tie off the pheasant tail. Reach for a pair of tying scissors and cut off the rest of the pheasant tail. Take the fine wire and counter wrap it up the body. Here I used the wire to clean up that weird bump I had. Counter wrapping is just wrapping the wire the opposite way you wrap the pheasant tail. Once you've counter wrapped the wire up to behind the bead, you can tie it off. Helicopter the remaining wire to break it off clean. For the thorax of this fly, I will use ice dub and UV shrimp pink. You don't want too much dubbing, so I would recommend dubbing on a small portion at a time. It is much easier to add more dubbing than it is to remove dubbing. The thorax of this fly is more like a hot spot of ice dub. You don't want too much, but you also don't want too little. Once you've completed the thorax, do a couple turns right behind the bead. Reach for your whip finish tool. When whip finishing Frenchies, I like to do a couple whip finishes. This is because you get a nice collar of red thread behind the bead. The red collar and the ice dub make a really nice hot spot that goes well with the natural colors of the pheasant tail that fish just can't resist. Once those whip finishes have been made, reach for your tying scissors and trim off the thread. The Frenchie is a must-have fly. It represents the natural mayfly nymph, but has hot, flashy colors that attract fish really well. You don't want to forget Frenchies on your next trout fishing trip. You never know what it might catch.